The recent death of a Navy SEAL reminds us all that the battle against ISIS rages on. But where are we in this fight? Janice, has the Obama administration done a good job in fighting the enemy?
I guess my question is, what have they done to fight this enemy?
And I think that's a good question, and I think we have soft-footed, if you will, around the issue for a long time.
No, we have ignored it.
We haven't ignored it.
This administration created this enemy.
No, actually, the Bush administration created the enemy by going into Iraq and taking out Saddam Hussein, who was keeping his foot on the people who became ISIS. So
Iraq was an awful decision, but when Bush got out of office, we were winning.
When Bush got out of office, we were already drawing down troops.
But we were winning. And
we did still have a presence.
And he created a vacuum, and the vacuum was filled by these idiots.
No, okay, and I'm
so
not
back
defending...
But back to fighting this enemy. It's like, is it a good job or not? And if it's not, then what should be done?
What should be done, and we don't need to put more ground troops on. There is absolutely no popular support. And in all fairness, the reason that we pulled out of there is because the people wanted us to pull out of there. We were sick and tired of having our boys coming back, boys and girls coming back, missing limbs and everything over a war that we shouldn't have been involved in the first place. So the reality of the matter is we can slice and dice this every which way possible. Had we pulled out 10 years from now, there'd be an ISIS 10 years from now. The reality is we should not have been there. Not everybody gets to be an astronaut when they grow up. Not every country becomes a democracy overnight. The reason the Middle East has all these strongmen to control these societies is because they have a lot of growing up to do before they get to be democracies. And, same thing that happened with Gaddafi. We took Gaddafi out. Should we have put ground troops in Libya? No. And what do we have? We have a failed state. We didn't go into Syria and take, what's his name out, Assad out, and we have a civil war that also contributed to the creation of ISIS. The reality is, you're almost damned if you do and damned if you don't. The problem is, once this organization came up, we had to deal with it. And we haven't done a good job about that, and you're absolutely right about that. But ground troops is not the way that you deal with this. We have dealt with these types of organizations over the last 60 years very effectively by using the CIA, by using local operatives, by using special forces, and all the other things. And I think that we have, the one thing I will accuse the Obama administration for doing is of being very naive in terms of how you deal with people that don't abide by any laws of civilized conduct, which these people definitely fit the mold of.
Because how do you go by a peace treaty that was agreed upon after World War II and then expect everybody to play by the same rules, and then what do you do whenever the person on the other side isn't abiding by those rules?
Well, and you know what, and I was not a super Mitt Romney fan, and he got a lot of flack for saying, watch out for Russia, Russia is next. Guess
He was
what?
right.
He was absolutely right.
Well, and I think, Janice, you bring up a good point, but I would disagree with you from a historical standpoint. All these problems actually don't stem from World War II. They stem from the peace treaty that was forced at the end of World War I. Everything that happened after that, everything we're dealing with in the Middle East is a result of the decisions that the French and the British made in the breakup of the Ottoman Empire. They took the map of the Middle East without any understanding of the various ethnic groups and the various religious groups, and they stood there and drew some lines on a map and decided this is going to be this country and this is going to be that country, and everything that happened after that. If you look at everything that happened in Iraq in the 1920s, all the various revolutions that occurred there. If you look at everything that's happened in, to some degree in Iran with the Shah and everything else, all that draws from that period of time. Now, Iran, Syria, Egypt, those are traditional ethnic-based countries. Iraq is not. It is a fantasy that somebody drew on a map. And it consists of Kurdistan, it consists of the Sunnis over on the west, and the Shias on the south, and they have no sense of national identity.
Yeah, and it's very unfortunate because, at what point do we get to actually just say, all right, we're not going to meddle in the Middle East anymore? Because ISIS is a problem that we did help create.
Well, and we don't need to be involved there. Look, Saudi Arabia used to be the largest producer of oil. Who is now? Us and Canada. We
Russia.
don't need their oil. Actually, no, we are.
Okay, I'm sorry. Russia's biggest exporter of what?
Biggest exporter. However, because we use a lot of the own oil we produce here, we have played the devil's advocate by playing into Saudi Arabia, and they are the root of a lot of this evil. The reality of the matter is we have an ally there. We have the Kurds. And because we wanted to keep the territorial integrity of Iraq, which is a fictitious country, we haven't helped the one group there that actually does share our values and actually is doing most of the fighting against ISIS. That's what we need to do. We need to support them. We need to commit the necessary troops to take these guys out. It's not going to take a lot. There's not a lot of ISIS out there. They're a paper tiger, essentially.
But they're getting stronger.
Let's turn them into was.
You know, they're not the JV team anymore.
They are. They're not actually. They're shrinking. Their territory and their recruits are shrinking. Ever since the Russians launched their air attacks against them, their power is shrinking. They're a paper tiger. We can take them out the same way we took out Al-Qaeda. Identify their key leaders, take them out. We don't have to commit a lot of troops. It's not really that difficult. We just need to have the backbone to do it.
Well, and I think that's what's been missing. And I'm not a military genius, far from it. I don't know anything about the military. The reality is, though, I do know that leading from behind has not been a good stance for us.
No, and it hasn't worked. And Jim, you get the last word on that.
All right.
You're not Bob, but close enough. Up next, it's Fast 5. 4 panelists, 5 topics, in 6 minutes. Stay with us here on the Flipside.